Hey everyone, welcome to day 34. Today's title is Identity Shifts, and the scripture is Isaiah 41, that's a lie, Isaiah 43 verse 1, and it says, "Do not be afraid, for I have ransomed you. I have called you by name, you are mine." And the devotional says, we can miss who we're called to be because we're addicted or attached to who we've decided to be. Most of us women tend to define ourselves in one of 5 areas I call the 5 success mountains. Each mountain simply represents a lane that we choose to live in and gives us a sense of identity. Number 1 is the marriage mountain. This is where we find our identity and sufficiency in being a wife and having a successful marriage that others admire. Number 2 is the motherhood mountain. This is where our identity is attached to our children. Number 3 is the money mountain. Here we find our worth in our work, the titles we earn, the check we make, the suits we wear, the offices we hold, the awards we win, the perceived impact we have, and how impressive we look. Number 4 is the mending mountain. Here we find validation in being able to help others solve their problems, being dependable, and sacrificing ourselves for the sake of saving others. And number 5 is the making a difference mountain. This is where our core identity gets defined by the act of serving. Though our efforts seem noble, truly we want something in exchange: validation. You may identify with one or more of the mountains. None are bad. In fact, all are blessed. However, fixed beliefs about ourselves block us from God's master purpose. And for this reason, when God gets ready to shift you, you can guarantee He'll disrupt you. I actually really like this because I haven't, the question says, to which mountain do you gravitate to most? How has it defined you or even confined you? And I had never heard these before, and obviously they might relate to you and they might not relate to you. When I was kind of thinking and reflecting, like, do any of these relate to me? None of them really jumped out, but I do think that the making a difference mountain is probably the one that I lean into the most, because it says, though our efforts seem noble, truly we want something in exchange: validation. And I do think that, not all the time, but I do think that sometimes I do want to be validated. I'm a very visual person. So, and I don't even know if this is actually what it's talking about, but this is what I thought. But I'm super visual. Therefore, I like measurable change. Like, I like to be able to see something. That's why I like organizing, because I can see the before, I can see the after. I loved doing homework and workbooks. I know that sounds silly, but I could see it being done. I like doing this workbook because we've done all of these pages. Like, I like the visual of seeing something completed, which is why I don't think I find my identity in marriage or motherhood, because that isn't measurable. It's playing the long game, and it's like more of an investment. And, but it's not one, when you plant a seed in the ground, the next day you don't have a fruit tree. If you plant an apple seed, the next day you don't just have an apple tree. Like, you have to constantly keep investing and watering and tending to it, knowing you're going to reap a harvest in the future. And I am someone who, I will faithfully serve in these areas, but I also really like to see the measurable little wins on the other side. I don't think, like it says, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it can be a blessed thing. But I definitely think that that's what I realized, was I definitely lean into the more visual, measured things, which you would think maybe would be the money mountain, but I'm not obsessed with making money. Otherwise, I'd probably have a business or multiple businesses, and I don't. So yeah, I'm curious if any of these resonated with you. That was just the only one that kind of I'll think about a little bit more. The prayer at the bottom says, "Lord, I welcome disruption because it positions me for greater destiny and capacity. Show me where you're taking me. I know it is great and mighty." And, but I do this last sentence: however, fixed beliefs about ourselves block us from God's master purpose, and we can miss who we're called to be because we're addicted to or attached to who we've decided to be. So if nothing else from this devotional, the encouragement to us can be, don't get too attached to who you are, because God constantly wants to grow us and mature us and bring us into new and exciting areas. But if we're so attached or obsessed or fixed with who we are, where we don't want to grow or we don't want to change, then we're just going to limit our lives, and we're going to have a very small experience instead of really living this whole beautiful life experience that He has for us. So that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow for day 35. Bye, guys.